7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negro. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I also have a much smaller channel called Latina Diaspora, where I discuss issues regarding Latinos in the United States. The link to that channel is in the description. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And also the subscriber mode has been enabled for the first 5 minutes. Meaning, if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you will need to subscribe to the channel. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel, whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined us latest today. I really appreciate your love and continued support. Also want to send a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, as well as those who allow me to enter into your devices, and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. As you can see by the thumbnail, the topic of tonight is when to block. And basically, I am referring to those individuals try to enter your platform, but it is not to share in any constructive conversation regarding the topic in hand, but to cause trouble. Now, before we get into the main topic, we're going to have another episode of In My Words. So, as many of you already know, an individual had lodged a privacy complaint against me, maintaining that I violated their privacy, which I did not. Okay, and this has to do regarding last night's stream when I spoke about the incels. And I knew that when I proceeded with this topic, there was going to be some pushback. Okay. Of course, what I did was I responded, so I'm waiting on you to respond regarding my response. Now, what I've done today is I've taken a great deal of reflection, and I also posted it on the community tab. In fact, what I will do is I will share it. Just give me a moment. I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to read it to make it perfectly clear. Just give me a moment. And it states the following. After receiving a privacy complaint on my main channel and submitting my response, I have decided on the following actions. I will not mention or make references regarding my latest ops, There are some things which do not deserve a response. I will also request my guests on the panel and on the chat to do likewise. Will they stop false privacy complaints? I doubt it. It will show that these complaints are false. I will assess regarding um, the channels which I will be continue to support, whether I should support them or not. If I decide not to frequent any channel, do not take it personally. I'm taking this as for self-reflection and accountability. As always, I was always abide by the guidelines with conduct creators have set. On many platforms, I will not mention my platform at all. Some channels, I may limit my input or perhaps not share my views at all. I am a person that take accountability for my action and capable of reading the room. When all said and done, I will do everything necessary to maintain my core values as a content creator. Hopefully, you will be blessed by that content. Let us take this as a learning lesson. Stay blessed. And I'm going to stop sharing. So basically, what that means is the following. When it comes to the ops in general, I'm not going to make any references to them directly or indirectly. Okay. I'm just going to continue with the collective, which is known as the circus. Okay. Now, also, when I have people on my panel or in the chat, I'm going to insist that they don't make any references to those individuals as well. Okay. And again, would it stop people from making privacy complaints? Probably not. But what I do hope is that whenever there are further privacy complaints going forward, you too will take a look at my content and they can see that not only and I did not make any mention regarding anyone that's filed a privacy complaint, nor did I let air their content, nor did I encourage any of my guests to do likewise. It is unfortunately that we're living in a time and age where you have certain individuals that are very thin skinned. You have certain individuals that can dish it out, but they can't take it. Okay. And that's something that I've grown to realize. Now, I've tried, and I will continue to do so, to continue to create content which is of a positive nature, which will share information. At sometimes it will entertain. At times it will be humorous. Also, I will continue to encourage those in the panel and those in the chat to express their point of views. However, going forward, I'm going to request that they refrain from making comments regarding my ops. And we shall see whether or not that has any effect or what does not. But I'm doing everything I can possible to try to avoid the sick rhetoric that some people love to create. And another thing, which I didn't add in the community tab, but I'm going to make it perfectly here. From time to time, I'm going to make mistakes. From time to time, I'm going to have lapse in judgment. In time, I'm going to do things that may be of an issue with others. Going forward, I would appreciate it if you have access to my private email or my telephone number, things of that nature. I would appreciate it if you would discuss it with me privately. Good evening, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping by. I would appreciate. I do not appreciate it when people correct me out in public when you have access um, to my private to my email, which is private, my Discord, which is private, or my contact number. Uh, okay, Irby, what happened was someone had lodged a privacy complaint against Just Troy. That is the issue, and apparently I mentioned my channel a bit too much. I fully take accountability for it. I did not realize I was doing it. Now I do. Fine. I don't have a problem with I don't have a problem with accepting correction. I don't have a problem when people are bringing highlight to me where I am in error. That's not the problem. I would appreciate it if you have access, if you have access to my email, or if you have access to my telephone number, or if you have access to my account in Discord, kindly inform me in private. Okay. And yes, I can take accountability. Yes, I am able to admit when I'm wrong. Okay. I understand that early, but it's just that this is the thing, and I'm not directing it towards anyone. I'm just making a general statement. Okay, and that general statement is following: if I do something that rubs you the wrong way, okay, and I'm not talking about my detractors. I'm talking about those that I interact with. If I do something to rub you the wrong way, and if you do have access to my, and you can communicate with me offline, please do so. Okay. And usually the first time I'll once it's been made known to me, I have no problem accepting correction. What gets to be an issue is that you know, if, no, what is an issue is when someone that has access to access to they speak with me privately offline and do not do so. That's what I have an issue with. Okay. Yes, yes, I was guilty of over speaking over speaking my platform. Yes, but going forward, I will not repeat that mistake. I would not. Um, when any now, what I will do. Good evening, Big Roster Show. Thank you very much for stopping by. Now, what I will do is like the usual people that support me. Of course, I'm going to give shout outs. Okay, to the content creators that support me. I'm going to give shout outs. I'm going to encourage those in my audience to check out their content and subscribe to their channels. But going forward, when it's not reciprocal, I'm not going to do the same. Okay, and it's not anything personal. It's just that um, I see I see who are my supporters and who are not. Okay, and really my supporters. I know one thing I can say about my supporters, particularly those that I speak to offline. They will let me know. They will let me know, and they'll let me know and explain it to me where I screwed up. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking to be coddled. I'm not asking to, any special treatment. I'm just asking, you know what? When I screwed up, okay, you have every right to bring it to my attention. It's just that if you can do it to me, if you're able to do it to me privately, I would appreciate it. That's all. And I'm not going to discuss this again because I don't think it's necessary. I just prefer to look at this as a learning experience, okay? And that's how mature people look at it. Mature people make mistakes, but yet they take accountability and then they learn from it. So, so with that being said, and again, I'm not going to discuss this any further. With that being said, we're gonna get to the main topic. Now, let me just state that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit that link and opine regarding the topic in hand, they may do so. Let me make this perfectly clear. If I never seen you before, or if I never heard from you before, I will insist that you come up in the backstage to make sure that no one flushes anything inappropriate, which was cause the people on YouTube to take down this stream. And another thing, please do not bring your beeps over here. Okay. Um, I am not gonna have a wild circus or wild wild west scene over here on my platform. Okay. Now, how other people run their channels, that's them. They can run their channels in any fashion that they deem appropriate. And as a general rule, I don't say anything about how people run their channels. Okay. Because first of all, it's I don't have the right to do so. I don't have the authority to do so. I don't want people who don't support me to tell me how to run my channel. Okay. Now, with all that being said, um, and I suspect tonight's not going to be as active as it was last night. But hey, it is what it is. So the topic is when to block. Now, why is there a need to block people? There are a few reasons. Okay. Now, unfortunately, when you are a content creator, um, the more successful that you are, the more you're going to have people that's going to take issue with you. They're going to take issue with you because you are doing well and there's a certain amount of jealousy that's involved. They're going to take issue with you because there's certain individuals they want the success, but they're unwilling to devote the time and the energy to create content that people will enjoy. Okay. I mean, there are certain individuals that love to create drama on their platforms because what it does, it heightens the attention, it brings people to see what's going on, it gets you more views, and and in the beginning, you'll get some subs. I'm not gonna lie. After a while, people are going to either get tired of all the drama involved, or they're going to get disappointed because you're not creating more drama. Okay. So whenever there's anyone that does not abide by the rules and guidelines that I've established here on my platform, first of all, they will be given a warning. Okay, meaning what you're saying is offensive to me. What you're saying is offensive to the people of my to my guests. What you are saying is offensive to the viewers, people in the chat. Now, if you tone it down and not be so offensive, then you can stay. However, if you continue to be offensive, if you continue um, to be disrespectful uh, towards me or towards anyone on the panel, you're going to get removed. Okay. And then what happens is if you try to go back in the backstage after I remove you, you're going to get removed again. And then if you continue to try to get back in the backstage with the purpose of trying to disrupt the stream, you will be banned, and it could be permanent, which means you will not be able to get on the platform or get on the backstage. Now, one thing I am blessed is that I have a group of supporters who are my mods, who help me to make sure that everything is copacetic in the chat. And what they will do is, if they see anyone acting out of pocket, they'll delete the comments before I have a chance to do so. And what they will do is they'll put it on timeout. Okay. And that is what happened yesterday. There was an attempt to create a disturbance. So what did my mods did? They deleted the comments, and then this individual tried to get in the backstage, prisms back. Okay, because I am not going to allow anyone to be disrespectful towards me or towards my guests. Now, another way that you will get blocked if you say disrespectful language. Okay, meaning calling me everything but a child of God. Okay, you will be blocked. Now, if it's a situation where two people in my panel are having an argument, I'm gonna try. Okay, depending on the situation, I might let them like vent a little bit, but after a while, I will insist that we change the topic. Okay, and the reason why is the following: when you have individuals, okay, that are that they feel insulted, what they're going to do? They're going to look. They're going to respond, which is perfectly normal. No one likes to be disrespected. No one likes to be insulted. No one likes to be called names and things of that nature. It's it's human nature. Okay, so obviously, when there's a situation when I see two people on my panel arguing, I'm going to do everything I can to try to you know move move to a different topic, because what's going to happen is if I do not do that, it's going to continue and it's going to escalate, and then next thing you know it, people are going to be flying flying off the handle, and people are going to say offensive terminology. While that might generate views, okay, that's that's not the type of attention that I'm seeking. Okay, and there's a few reasons why. First of all, my government name is attached to my channel. That's for starters. Also, as a municipal employee, I have to be mindful of what's called the conduct, which is a code of behavior that as a municipal employee I must observe. Okay. So, and of course, the employer can take a look at what's going on my platform, and of course I'm gonna have to give an accounting. Okay. So with that and other reasons why I really cannot afford to have situations where people are yelling and screaming and acting violent and things of that nature. Okay. Because another thing, because guess what? I can, it can um, violate the community guidelines. Okay. Because remember, there are guidelines. I mean, you can swear to a certain extent, but when it gets to be like almost every word, uh, there's a possibility that YouTube could be paying attention to it, and next thing you know, I could be given uh, a notice that one of the community guidelines have been violated. Okay. Another way that people can be blocked is that if they now this is something if this has not happened so far, thank goodness, and I don't want it to happen. But if someone make threats, whether it be against me or threats regarding anyone that's on the panel or the chat, you're gonna be blocked. You're gonna be blocked. And if you're on the panel, you're gonna be removed. Okay. There is no if if and no buts about it. Okay. Because you remember living in Living Color, that show back in the 80s and early 90s. For those of you who remember it, there was a character called Homie the Clown, and one of his phrases was, "Homie don't play that." Well, Jose don't play that either. Okay. I will not allow threats to be thrown against me or against anyone on my panel or in the chat. Okay. Another way you could be blocked if you're trying to dox anyone that's on the panel or on the chat. If you're in the chat, your comments are gonna be deleted. If you're on the panel, you will be removed. If you try to get on the backstage, you're gonna be removed. And then if you continue, you're gonna be banned. Okay. Because doxing is going to be a serious problem. And another thing that's going to be a serious problem is making false accusations with the authorities. Whether it be contacting children's services, whether it be contacting the FBI, whether it be contacting ICE, whether it be contacting any law enforcement agency to levy a false charge against anyone. That's a huge problem. Okay, and you can rest assured, anyone that makes those type of threats, you will be banned from the platform. Okay, I don't like doing it. Okay, because first of all, it does leave. I know it leaves a sour taste in your mouth, and if you were a responsible adult and a mature adult, you should be able to control your emotions. You should be able to control what you say. Now, one thing I don't do here is that I don't censor people. Okay, you can say whatever the fluff you wish. Now, the reason why I don't censor people, because basically I hold the belief that most people that have a moral compass is able to show some bit of the decorum. Good evening, all heart, grit, and grind. Thank you very much for stopping by. So tonight's topic is when to block. So basically, I'm dealing. It's a situation where there may be occasions where, unfortunately, you might have to block certain individuals that are trying to leave offensive comments towards anyone in the chat or anyone in the panel, including myself. And unfortunately, certain individuals that get on the platform to try to take control of the stream, and instead of focusing on the topic at hand, that they insist that they talk about whatever they feel like talking, and they fail to understand is the host dictates what is to be discussed. Okay, and this is how I run my channel. I have a topic, I will talk about it. I will request that people stay on topic. And then when people are reluctant to do so, I will try to steer them to the topic, and if necessary, they will have to depart. Okay. And all I'm gonna say is, if that's the situation when you have to leave, all I'm gonna say is, don't let the door hit you, or the good Lord split you. Okay. Because when everything is said and done, I control what goes on here. Now, my mods, they help, but they don't but don't have the final authority of what's done. I do. Okay. And I happen to be a mod for several channels. I don't dictate to them how they conduct their content. I might maybe make a suggestion, but everything is said and done. When I'm on another platform, I have to abide by the rules that's set aside. Which meaning, like, if the host is allowing me to be up there for a limited amount of time, I gotta comply with the directive. If a host states that I can only be on the platform for 5 minutes, I gotta be there for 5 minutes, which means then I gotta try to say whatever I need to say in 5 minutes or less. If they say I can only be there for 30 seconds, I can't think that. That means I have to say for 30 seconds. If the host states I have to depart, so to make room for other people, I got to do that. If the host decides that I need to leave the platform because the host wants to continue with the live alone, I got to comply. Another way that you can be blocked, if you could be blocked if you do not accept the directions of the host. Well, okay. Well, the whole point, Oha, is that the host dictates if I'm allowed to join the panel for how long. And there are times where the host will say that on this occasion, I can't. The invitation is not going to be extended to me. Okay, and it could be let's say if a content creator has a topic and that person only want ladies on the panel. That means, guess what? I don't hop on. Or let's say there's a topic regarding a certain community, and the host only wants members of that community to hop on the panel and to opine. Guess what? I gotta comply. Okay. Because unlike certain individuals, I know how to read the room. Okay. And that's a problem with some of these individuals that need to be blocked, is that they do not have the ability to properly assess the situation. They don't have the ability to follow directions. They don't have the ability to abide to whatever set of guidelines the content creator has set. Now, I have been fortunate to be on multiple platforms. Okay, whether it be with the African American community, whether it be with my fellow Latinos, whether it be with mixed people, whether it be with women, whether it be with men, I'm able to read the room and I'm able to assess to a fairly reasonable amount um, when is a good time to speak and when is a good time to depart. And that's a problem that some of these individuals that try to um, hop on panels without the consent of the host, or to try to take take over the conversation and try to basically run it, take control of the stream. Okay. Which, as a content creator, you have every right to be upset about because you have conducted your research regarding what topics that you wish to discuss. Okay, you prepared your notes, you done your research, and what could be very upsetting to anyone is that you have a certain individual that will hop on the panel and then they'll try to take over the content and act like if there is the host. To me, I find that to be extremely disrespectful. Okay. And basically what they are saying is that they don't care. They're gonna do whatever the fluff they want, disregarding the work that you in that you took part, disregarding the research that you devoted, no, disregarding the energy that you use um, to get people qualified to speak on a topic. It could be very frustrating. It could be very upsetting. Okay, to for one person to show such disregard to try to take over the stream and try to change the topic. And I've seen instances where a content creator had devoted time and energy to create their content, and then you have someone that basically try to take over and act like they're the host because that is a sign of disrespect. And the fact of the matter is, anyone that try to take over my stream, you're going to be blocked. It is that simple. Okay. So another way that you will be blocked if, and again, I'm fortunate that no one has actually dared to bring up the subject here. If you come over here and you encourage any of the people hearing to self delete, you're going to be blocked automatically. Okay, because I don't mess when it comes to mental health issues. That's not something to take lightly. Okay. And the last thing I want to do is that if I have someone that's struggling with thoughts of self deletion, and then I allow one individual to take over the stream and basically try to goad people to self delete, um, I would not want that on my conscience. Okay. And of course, people are going to say, well, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You don't kid around things. Look, there's certain topics you do not make light of. You do not make light of when it comes to mental health, when it comes to depression, when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to self deletion. You do not make light of that. You do not joke about it. You do not make fun of people who are suffering with that. So these are other ways where you would get blocked. Another way is that if you decide to curse at me, and particularly when I tell you and I instruct you to stop, you're going to be banned. You're going to be blocked. Okay. So these are some of the ways that you can be blocked. Okay. Now I do understand that contact that you have different content creators, and then you have some that will block others simply because they don't agree with what the host is saying. Now, what they're doing is creating an echo chamber, meaning only the people that agree with them are allowed to express an opinion and to appear on the panel. Okay. I have never wanted this platform to be an echo chamber. Okay. I do encourage other people to have different views. Okay. Am I going to agree with them? No. Am I going to stop them from expressing a different point of view? No. Because this is not an echo chamber here. I encourage free dialogue. I encourage a respectful dialogue. Okay. Which is why I have certain rules, I have certain guidelines, I have certain directives are in place, all to try to create an environment when people can express their point of views as they see fit. And I have been talking for almost an hour. Okay. So if anyone has anything else that they wish to add in the comment, they can do so. Okay. If anyone wants to hop on the panel and express their input regarding the topic in hand, they may do so. And of course, if no one hop on the panel and no further comment comes up, um, I will start to put the string there and start to get ready to wrap it up. But now I do want to let everybody know that this week's version of open discussion will be held on Thursday, not Friday. And the reason why is simple. I'm going out Friday night. I'm going to an event. I'm going to a mixer where I will have the opportunity to interact with fellow members of my union. There'll be refreshments, there'll be beverages, there'll be games. So I'm going to have fun. Okay? Because unlike certain individuals, I have a life outside of YouTube. I have friends outside YouTube. Okay. To me, this it's a labor of love. What I'm doing is just simply sharing um, what I have learned through many years of different living experiences, some of them good, some of them bad. But I have learned and I have adjusted, I have adapted. Okay. I accept the fact that I'm growing older. Okay. I'm gonna be 63 years old. So um I have to learn to adapt to the fact that my body's getting older, and I need to do everything I can uh, to try to maintain as healthy a lifestyle as I can, which does not just involve the physical. It also involves the mental. It also involves the spiritual as well, which is why there may be certain people that I have to block. Okay. Uh, Again, for my own peace of sanity and my own mental well-being. Let me just see. Okay. All right. You have to excuse me, but every now and then I have to check and see if there's any in the channel and Instagram. But in any case, I'm gonna start to wrap this up. Um, what I will say is the following: for those of you who do create content in whatever platform that you deem appropriate, do not be afraid to the block people who constantly violate your rules and your guidelines. Don't be afraid. And if people get upset, well, you cannot control what other people say. You can only control how you're going to respond. And when it comes to certain individuals that are disrespectful or cruel or mean or irrational, it is best not to respond. Okay. Because what you do is when you respond, basically, it goes back and forth. That person now is going to say something to upset you, and then you're going to say something to upset them back, and then it goes back and forth, and nothing gets accomplished. That's why when it comes to my ops, it's better not to respond. Okay. And it's better just to give general statements. Okay. That does not apply to a particular person, but it applies to all. Okay. So okay. Let's check one more time. Okay. All right. Well, in any case, I will wrap this up, and of course, the playback gang, um, do your own thing. You can leave whatever comments you want. However, let me make it perfectly clear: if you need offensive comments, they're going to be deleted. You're going to be reported. It is that simple. Okay. And just to reiterate, um, if I don't support your content or don't go to your channel, do not take it personally. It's just I'm doing this. I'm doing an assessment regarding which channels to support and which channels not to support, where to comment and where not to comment. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm going to call this a night. And I really appreciate all those who will watch on the playback and those who watch from the clouds. And of course, I'm going to close the same way that I always close, which is we must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by the stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, saying good night, take care, and peace.